What's up, YouTube? Welcome to 2017 year-end list number 3. You've seen the metal one, you've loved the metal one, you've vehemently agreed with everything in the metal one, and now it's time to talk about everything else in the music world that, doesn't make 95% of people's ears bleed every time they hear it. So yeah, eligible for this list was anything that came out this year that wasn't metal music. And Lord knows there was no shortage of awesome music from every corner of the fucking industry. So as usual, this was the most difficult list to put together, just by the sheer fact that the pool I had to choose from was the largest. But I'm happy with the list that I ended up with here. I think it adequately represents what my soundtrack was in 2017. As always, I'm going to strongly urge you to please watch the end of the video for honorable mentions, because believe me, this list does not begin and end with the 10 albums that I happen to be talking about in this video. And most important, for this list specifically, it's just my fucking personal taste, nothing more. This is literally just me sitting down and figuring out how much dopamine my brain releases upon hearing each record. And again, it's especially important that you understand that for this list, because I cover a lot more stylistic ground here. And not only am I far from an expert on all of it, but when you're pitting like dance records against pop punk records, against indie rock records, it becomes very weird and very tough to just objectively rank them because they're just so different from each other. So just something to keep in mind there. And rambling intro over. Look, whether you watched one video of mine and left a mean comment or you rocked with me all year, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Seriously, it means more than you know. I really hope you enjoyed this list as much as I enjoyed agonizing over putting it together, and I cannot wait to just ramp this shit up in 2018. It's gonna be a great year. For now, we'll get right to it. The top 10 non-metal albums of 2017. At number 10, I had to fit this record in, Calvin Harris, Funk Wave Bounces, Volume 1. What a delightful, completely unexpected change of pace for this EDM superstar. I never saw it coming in a million years, but on this record, Calvin Harris took this enormous artistic leap forward from kind of the generic house music that made him famous in the first place. Funk Wave Bounces was one of very few CDs that I bought in 2017, and let me tell you, aside from maybe PayPal stock, which worked out pretty well for me this year, this was like the best investment I ever could have made. I had it in my car all summer long. On this record, Calvin completely eschews the formulaic pop house of his last record, Motion, which of course you'll remember it was a huge record with songs like Outside and Summer, and he replaces that sound with these lean, tight, super bass heavy bangers and has this dream team list of collaborators to sing over him. Calvin Harris is almost like Kanye on this record in that he just pulls so many stellar performances out of so many different people. Everyone from Frank Ocean to the Migos to Future to Ariana Grande to Katy Perry to Party Next Door to Pharrell, Snoop Dogg. Did I say Schoolboy Q? I've lost track already. They all step up to the plate and fucking crush it on this record. And yeah, all 10 tracks are great too. It's very quick and to the point. But I guess I'll especially shout out the lead single Slide, which really set the tone for this record before it was even out, as well as Rollin', that's one of my favorites, Cash Out, Feels, and also Faking It, which I'm really happy to see get pushed as the next single. So yeah, just an absolute thrill to see Calvin Harris switch lanes like this and make such huge strides as both a songwriter and as an artist looking to leave a unique imprint on the music world. Coming in at number 9, my man Ritz with Last Call, his 4th and final record for Tech Nine's Strange Music label. When people are gonna stop sleeping on this insanely talented MC, I don't know. All I know that this is my 2nd year in a row including him in my year-end top 10 list, so I'm doing my part. I mean, once again, Ritz has made an album that just feels like it was created specifically for me, because it just checks all the boxes. At times, the rapping is insanely technical, case in point, slappers like Down for Mine and Into the Sky. And other times, it's deeply personal and introspective and gut-wrenching. On tracks like Fuck Cancer and Press Rewind, this album just encompasses everything I look for in hip-hop, and Ritz just encompasses everything I look for in an MC. And the production on Last Call is excellent too. Ritz and his main producer, Seven, definitely show us that they're not afraid to try some left-field ideas, like that children's choir that pops up on the song Indestructible, or some of the spacier moments on the record, like the track Shooting Star. And I will say once again, the cherry on top, Ritz being able to deliver his own melodic hooks. Him being able to round out these songs with his own singing voice, it just makes them so much more cohesive and so much more convincing. I think it flows so much better than when rappers outsource all their hooks. Okay, number 8, Brand New with Science Fiction. This is the beloved alternative band's swan song, and I think they're going out with style. This thing has all the makings of a great Brand New record. It's got the tasteful, loud, soft dynamic dynamic. It's got that pure angst from frontman Jesse Lacey that just somehow never veers into territory that's too whiny or histrionic. As usual, I love the band's incorporation of acoustic and clean electric guitars at every turn. Basically, if you're into Brand New already, it's pretty safe bet that you've been digging this album. And if you're brand new to Brand New, and now hitting the dislike button and maybe the unsubscribe button, I would first listen to their classic record, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. And if you like that one, give this one a shot. But unfortunately, that Brand New record does have a huge asterisk next to it because, as it turns out, Jesse Lacey was a fucking creep 10, 15 years ago, and this year joined the legions of disgraced male public figures who one by one were being outed for these gross and pretty disturbing instances of sexual assault and sexual misconduct. So definitely tarnishes the band's legacy and makes their retirement feel well-timed, to say the least. But look, if you're one of those fucking morons that thinks that I'm somehow a bad person for still liking that record given this information, just remember, Jesse Lacey was involved in this record's making. Yes. You know what Harvey Weinstein was involved in? Pulp Fiction, Lord of the Rings, Reservoir Dogs, Good Will Hunting, Gangs of New York, and many, many more of your favorite movies. So guess we're all terrible people then. Anyway, next record at number 7 is The National with Sleep Well Beast. Just the quintessential contemplative late night listen. Much like their 4th record, Boxer, which still is probably my favorite of theirs. But while everything I love about this band is still intact, there's frontman Matt Berninger's soothing baritone, there's the very tasteful mix of organic and digital in the instrumentation here. This time around, the key ingredient for me is actually the lyrics. I just found Matt's lyrics on this record to be so moving and so insightful, almost like I was kind of learning about life alongside him. Like, one of the best examples is the standout track Guilty Party, where Matt chronicles this fictional breakup between him and his wife. And the lyrics paint this heartbreaking picture of this breakup that's neither person's fault. It kind of just had to happen. And it got me thinking about some of my own relationships and how, sometimes those breakups where neither person is like obviously to blame, those can be some of the most difficult, the most emotionally devastating, because there's no one to be angry at. There's no scapegoat. You just miss the person. And in the absence of that typical bitterness or jealousy or righteous anger that typically comes with the end of a relationship, you're just left to feel sad and lonely and empty. And look, sometimes that hurts the most. And the way he gets that whole message across in these lyrics is just poetic. So my long-winded point here is that although The National musically were as fantastic as ever, the lyrics this time around were what made it special. And a late night listen to Sleep Well Beast, for me, kind of felt incomplete if I wasn't reading along with the words. At numero 6 is Kendrick Lamar, aka King Kendrick, aka Kung Fu Kenny with Damn, his heavily debated 4th record, definitely without a question, one of the biggest and most discussed hip-hop releases of 2017. I've mentioned this before on this channel already, but it was with this record that I realized that the fucking run that Kendrick Lamar is on right now, it's historic for hip-hop. I mean, how many artists in the genre's 40-year history can you say came right out the gate with 4 great albums, let alone 3 classics in a row? With this record following up 2012's career-vaulting Good Kid, Mad City, as well as 2015's critical darling To Pimp a Butterfly. That's where we're at with Kendrick Lamar right now. Who else can you think of? Outkast, maybe? DMX? The list is fucking short. This might sound weird, but what I love so much about Damn is just how emotionally weighty and fucking depressing it is. Like, Kendrick has always been an introspective artist, but on tracks on here like Fear and XXX and Pride and Feel, the guy just tears himself open in this jaw-dropping way. And you know what? This brutal self-examination that he undergoes throughout this record, I think, is as therapeutic for the listener as I'm sure it is for him. And on the totally opposite end, I also love how on a portion of this record, Kendrick is back on his rapper shit, back on his flex shit. Songs like DNA and God and Humble and Element are just overflowing with the kind of practically deified bravado that only like the most acclaimed figure in hip-hop right now could pull off as genuine. So there's really 2 sides to my love for Damn, because on one hand, I deeply connect with this tumultuous emotional journey that he's on. On the other end, I'm so happy to see him back on his rapper shit, back focusing on bars, just outdoing his competition, and just being a great rap technician. Number 5, our first entry into the top 5, I gotta give some love to Lorde. Her sophomore album, Melodrama, is nothing short of a gold standard for modern pop music. Production-wise, it's phenomenal. Executive producer Jack Antonoff is like a fucking savant at making sure that the album's more energetic moments, like Perfect Places and Green Light, sound appropriately massive, and then the album's more intimate, reflective moments, like Liability and Writer in the Dark, sound appropriately naked and bare. Also, there's Lorde's vocals, her completely singular delivery and inflection, which, by the way, it seems like every up-and-comer is trying to copy. Her ability to put together these pretty creative, out-of-the-box vocal harmonies, her expressiveness, I'm convinced that this girl could sing anything and make it sound good. But what makes Melodrama a truly special album for me, and an album that I will likely remember 2017 by for years, if not decades to come, is actually what Lorde is singing about. Her vivid and occasionally heartbreaking chronicles of all of these coming-of-age struggles, whether it's her up-and-down romantic relationships, or her conflicted feelings about the partying lifestyle, or her confusion with her own identity, they are remarkably easy to empathize and relate to. Like, let me put it to you this way. On this record, Lorde is a 20-year-old millionaire female from New Zealand. And yet, when I read these lyrics and listen to these songs, I feel like we're the same person. Which, of course, we couldn't be more different. But these themes that she so eloquently tackles are so universal, and her vulnerability on here is so real that as a listener, you feel this unbreakable connection with her and with what she's going through. So that's why I love this Lorde album. I'm sure everyone has their reasons. Oh, and Perfect Places, one of the best songs of 2017. Number 4, the Newfound Glory record, Makes Me Sick. The record does not physically make me sick. The record is called Makes Me Sick. Let's just make that clear. 20 years into their career now, these pop punk pioneers prove that the last 2 decades of copycats still can't do it like they do. This record is just full of explosive, exuberant energy at every turn, ridiculously catchy hooks. I love the incorporation of the occasional synthesizer to spice up these arrangements. And Makes Me Sick is such a funny record because I would never sit here and tell you that it's this amazing, groundbreaking, life-changing work of art. And yet here it is, fucking number 4 on my year-end list out of all the albums that came out this year. And you know how that happened? All 10 tracks are good, all 34 minutes are engaging, and eventually what happens is the record just creeps up that list because you keep coming back to it and coming back to it, and before you know it, it's been a mainstay in your life for 8 months now. So you know, what can I say other than it's just an endlessly likable record? In particular, I'll shout out Happy Being Miserable and Blurred Vision as 2 of my most listened to songs 2017 of any genre. Also Party on Apocalypse, Cheapest Thrill, there's so many good songs on here. Taking home the bronze in this 2017 year-end extravaganza is Paramore with After Laughter. One of the most beautifully ironic records I've ever heard, in that it's this drastic stylistic shift for the band into this super peppy, super bubbly, like 80s influenced pop music. But the lyrics that are being sung over these new soundscapes and new instrumentals are some of the most depressing shit that I've ever heard. But that depressing shit is exactly why I'm so madly in love with this record. Because on this record, frontwoman Hayley Williams captures pure misery and angst and crushing depression better than like anyone I've ever heard. Some of the highlights up front in the track list, like Hard Times and Rose Colored Boy, are wonderful examples of this too. But in particular, there's a pair of cuts in the middle of the album, Fake Happy and 26, that literally make me cry every fucking time I hear them. On the song Fake Happy, Hayley truly captures what depression is really like, because anyone who's dealt with it knows that the most difficult aspect of fighting depression is this constant pressure to maintain that outward perception that everything is fine when it's not. And Lord knows that must be amplified tenfold for a public figure like Williams. There's no escape for her, which, by the way, her public figure status also comes into play on another one of my favorites, the song Idol Worship, which is a song where she sort of cracks under the stress of being this person that people look up to for no reason other than she wrote some good songs. As for the following track, 26, it's the sound of the worst quarter-life crisis that I have ever heard. Basically, what happens in this song is Hayley realizes that her cynical former self, who was very critical of dreamers and people who escape into fantasies, may have been all wrong, because now those dreams and that escape is all she has as she battles these demons. Yeah, this I don't say this a lot, but this song is required listening. Required listening if you don't want to be dead to me. but you know what? I have a feeling we're going to be discussing this song again real soon. But yeah, Paramore, After Laughter, a musical open heart surgery with no anesthesia, that if you've ever felt the way for even 5 minutes that Hayley Williams feels in this record, it will immediately become a very important piece of work in your life. At number 2, and Lord knows, if you had told me a year ago that this guy was going to make this list and be this high up, I would have laughed in your face. But Yelawolf with Trial by Fire. After like 7 straight years of disappointment following his initial buzz, this white trash hick hopper came out of nowhere with one of the most unique rap records that I have ever heard and likely will ever hear. On Trial by Fire, Yelawolf takes his genuine rhyming ability and traditional hip-hop toolkit and pairs it with the sounds of country and blues and folk and rock, and unlike his previous attempts at this, the result is magnificent. This is an album, like all of my favorite albums, that just transports you to another universe. In this case, rural Alabama, where many of Yelawolf's autobiographical stories and very vivid descriptive rhymes take place. And by pairing these rhymes with beats that have a twang and getting country singers on these hooks and just staying true to his identity every step of the way without compromising, everything just snaps into place. And on this record, Yelawolf feels, instead of like a disjointed, confused artist, he feels like a trailblazer who's just creating a lane all of his own. I mean, look, I could go on about this fucking thing for like 15 minutes, but just please trust me and please watch my review of this record, because I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into that review as I just struggled to convey how much this record meant to me. Because let me tell you, the positive reviews, the very positive reviews that I do, are the most difficult. So look, I mean, I know this won't be for everybody, but it's my list, my taste, and I just loved the southern flavor of this album, and Yelawolf has just completely blown me away with this one. And now, ladies and gentlemen, and the other 70 genders that we now have, the best album of 2017 is Chris Brown, Heartbreak on a Full Moon. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm gonna give it to Brother Ali, All the Beauty in This Whole Life. Simply put, Brother Ali is one of the most complete MCs in hip-hop. He's got everything on this album. He's got the lyrical skill. He's got the bars. He's got the thought-provoking and emotionally stirring content. He's got the ear for beats. Ant from Atmosphere is this album's producer. He's got the ear for hooks. He's got the endless barrage of different flows and inflections. Hip-hop doesn't get much better than this for me. It really doesn't. You know what? I truly believe that there's something for everyone on this album. Hip-hop fan, never heard a hip-hop song in your life, you're gonna latch on to select moments on here, because you're a human being. And there's very few artists that connect to our very humanness better than Brother Ali does on this record. And there you have it. 10 albums, 10 rambling explanations, endless room for viewer criticism. But I really hope you enjoyed this list and maybe got turned on to some great music that you might have missed the boat on, which, in keeping with that, please be sure to watch the end of the video for honorable mentions. And I'd also like to, again, take a moment to just thank you for watching and for supporting me this year. And my promise to you is that 2018 on this channel is gonna be way bigger, way better, and way more fun. I cannot wait to kick things up another notch next year, or tomorrow, depending on how you look at it. So we've got one year-end list left to do, and after that, I will see you in 2018. As always, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, or shoot me a message so we can continue to talk music, and I'll see you guys soon.
No phones inside the telly, pics inside the celly. Baby, you know the house rules. Yeah, respect over a dollar, death before dishonor. Partner, you know the house rules. If I'm up, you can't be down, and I'm down to tear shit up for you, homie. You know the house rules. Yeah, all bitches with flat stomachs, no cars under 100, my nigga. You know the house rules. I'm high, chilling with Bruno on Mars.